Hey guys, how are you? So, I can see people are jumping in now, so I will do something that was mentioned yesterday on this live stream. Maybe do uranium miners down under live, right? We'll do them live. Normally we do this, every 1 week or 2 weeks. We look at miners down under, and yeah, they have again this we do every 1 or 2 weeks depending on the action. So yeah, we will do uranium stocks in Australia, right? Australia uranium stocks. They have been out of favor, kind of big in my view here compared to its peers in the U.S. and Canada. For reasons I don't know. Could it be a currency issue? I guess so. Could be. So again, I will go through them all here live with you, and we have 10 stocks typically that we look at. So we're just gonna check what to look for, when to be excited, when to be worried, and all that. And we will start out with age. Right, age here is a again, my throat is a little bit under the weather, so good. Let's dive in here and look at the weekly on age. As you know, we had a big run here. This is early 2021, massive run, and then we have basically been bull flagging ever since. Right, and this was the big pump we had in the summer 2023, and basically ever since we have been stuck in a bull flag here, or like a bullish channel. We hit the lower trend line from the flag, and now we are trying to push up again. We did have some potential breakout coming in here back in June, big spike when we collapsed straight after, and we went to the other side of that whole range or channel. So now we're trying to find the footing here again on age, and we need to break the blue channel in order to be somewhat excited, right? To be somewhat excited on that one. So, hey John, hello John. So again, not a whole lot doing here. Again, can you buy here with a stop below that one there? Yes, you can. A bit more, I wouldn't say risky, but again, typically we would want to wait for breakouts. You can also see momentum wise here we are in the red, so nothing major right now for age. We need to see a little bit more. WUC, kind of similar, right? We had again somewhat of a good run here, and then we have been basically flagging for a long time. 4 years we have been doing absolutely zero basically, other than going down, right? We had the same pop there in 2023, the summer, and we have then formed now this big large flag, right? So the same thing applies as long as we're in that whole downtrend. You are not really going to do a whole lot, right? You're going to wait for this blue here to break. All right, we have some internal breakage coming in here. Maybe we can make it yellow so you can see it better. Right, we have some internal stuff going on, but it's a bit premature. But whenever this one here gets taken out, right, at roughly, it depends, but let's call it 90 cents, then we're definitely looking for a move potentially all the way to the other one up here. And then we're going to pull back again. But we're stuck in a downtrend on the weekly, and has been for the past 18 months, give or take. Bannerman. Again, I want to do a little bit of history on Bannerman. I wouldn't say textbook, but that is a very, large macro wedge, right? 10 years in the making. 10 years. Massive pop initially, 2016. Back test, and then we started to call up. We had the puke, 2020, together with everything else. And then we finally broke heavy here in, as you know, late 2020. And the long-term picture for Bannerman is still very good. I mean, we're still massive pop going sideways. Of course, all this is just a lot of pain, because you're sitting in this, but you're still up, 600% in Bannerman since the the massive entry down there. So 600% over 5 years. That is a win. For now, the big system of fractal that we're stuck in is that sideways. Right. So if we're going to come down to the red one here, I would be a buyer at roughly 1.20 if we get to there. Internally, we have another fractal that we're stuck in, or like a range. Right, we're stuck in that. We need to break the purple here in order to attack the red. So of course, if you break down, you go down to here. So right now it's just a whole lot of nothing. But I think whichever way we break out from this purple, I think it sets the direction for some time in Bannerman. And yeah, I think if we're gonna come down to here, roughly the red, you know, then it is a really good long-term entry. 120. If we get down to there, you know, within the next 6 months, you should start to buy that, in my opinion. Of course, we want this to break out, right, and then to basically make some sort of, you know, breakout there. So Bannerman long-term looks good. In the short term, it's, you know, silent as a, again, you can use your own term, basically. Not a whole lot happening. Boss Energy, it's actually in a over 10-year uptrend. Again, depending on how you're drawing this. The low side is a bit difficult. You can have two here, makes sense. Then you have the 2020, fine, okay. That was very, you know, that was a big event. And then you can see we tagged here again. And then we finally broke out, and that actually looked really, really good, right? That was also one on the channel. We said, hey, right there, 3.3-ish. That is when you really want to be long. And everything looked really fine. Again, we hit the upper trend line here, and then for some reason, I can't remember exactly what. Oh, I remember. It was the chief, you know, the CEO, whatever, leaving the company here, and we just basically puked from 350 down to 2 in a day, and now we're just trying to undo that whole pressure to the downside. And right now we're sitting at the edge of the parallel to the spike low there back in 2020. You can see we tagged it, and we're holding the horizontal here. So you can play this with a very tight stop. Again, you can buy here if you want to, trying to buy the lows at roughly 1.75, 76. But again, you have to have your stop down here below like 1.5, because then we're losing big horizontal level, but you're also losing that COVID, you know, wick parallel. And then it's better to be on the sidelines for some time. If not, again, we really want to, of course, regain the main channel and the blue, right? That's the bullish picture. We need to regain the blue and this main uptrend, and hold here of the parallel to the 2020 pop. A lot of volume, a ton of volume coming in. So typically, again, that is like a spike, you know, people leaving the boat, and sometimes that can indicate the bottom. It might be a little bit different in this case, but I'm really excited to see if we hold here and then start to turn higher. Thank you, Cygnus. Thank you very much for tuning in as well. So CXU here, a tiny guy, right? 10 million, 14 million. Very, very small, very, very high risk. And yeah, we have a big resistance up here. Massive, massive resistance, right? That is the big one, of course, to take out. We actually have two, because we have a long-term downtrend here, which we haven't been challenging for the past 1 year. So we're right now stuck within this whole downtrend. And until we break that, there's really not a whole lot going on. Okay, we need to break the blue here in order to be somewhat excited. And even then, I will say we need to clear roughly these highs here. Right, these wicks here, you can see the test here. So I need to see this one get above 0.013 before anything, you know, gets me going in this one here. And even then, you know, we're still stuck in the downtrend and all that. But yeah, it's down 80% since the highs here. So deep yellow looks good to me here. We have this is 2007, massive breakout there. You can see the breakout, back testing multiple times, and then breaking the parallel, which is basically a bull flag, right? This whole thing here is a bull flag, breaking out, back testing now. So if we start to break 1.87, then all of a sudden you can see we're actually getting above a big horizontal level as well, which again will happen at a 1.85. And again, you have a bull flag here. You can do some measured moves, but I think we're going to go to roughly 3 to the upper trend line right there. That is my view for deep yellow. So deep yellow looks, looks one of the good guys at this moment in time, doing somewhat well. Elevate, a bit of a funky one here with that whole curvature. This is never good in my opinion. On a log scale you have curvature. We don't really like that. This is a big parallel going back 30 years, right? We tagged there and we're actually above now. So COVID lows took every last bull out of the picture, then we rally, and now we're flagging. That is not the worst view, right? That really is not the worst view. And we need to break first one here, the main side of the flag, but also then we could do like a parallel to that. And that's the next little resistance that we need to break through. So right now, for the past 4 years, we're stuck in a flag here, but I think you will be able to snipe some entries here very soon, because that could be head and shoulder, right? So getting above 0.35, roughly there, the neckline, then it starts to look good again for Elevate. And of course we have a bit more to do, but this very large bull flag will break out higher at some point in time, in my opinion here. Right, that is the nature of it. And you can see the many back tests of the yellow. So 0.35, that's when I start to look for more upside in this one here. Good. GUE, insanely small guy as well, 30 million, just very, very small. And we have the main channel, which we're looking at right here, coming down, right? There it is. And then we have this wedge on the way out. So we need this yellow to break, and we almost had it there. And then we faked it, rather big there. We faked it there. So now that's the level for me to get above. 0.076. So we need to break out from the yellow. Not only that, we need to take out the fake out high here. Right? It could happen in multiple ways, but that's it. Still stuck in the downtrend. Wedging now, which then could be your ticket in. Remember, it's a very, very small stock, so it's again, don't bet it all, right? Just keep it insanely small, because even if you go big and you start to do many multiples, you will not be able to withstand that whole pressure, or what you want to call it, because all of a sudden you have a massive position in a very small stock. So and they correct very hard. So small position will do well in these kind of thing here, but again, we have to break the downtrend before we're happy. Lotus, also a funky chart overall. Not a whole lot going for with regarding to the setups that we usually take. The big three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year squeezes. When we have this wedge going on. But yeah, we had a move here, and then we basically double topped, and now we're back here again. And the only thing that I can find is we are in this channel, and that's the one we need to break in order to be looking for upside again. We have the 3 impulses, which is nice. So we need to clear this little flag here, starting to trade north of like 0.2, and then we can look for longs and or add at that point in time. Also here you can see where it turned bad, right? Big breakdown here and back test. Then the rest is history, but we need to break here in order to make higher highs and higher lows. So compared to its peers, in Canada and the US, these stocks are they are underperforming. They really are underperforming. Peninsula, 100 million, and a stock that we haven't been giving any signals on, even though, again, many people were saying that the fundamentals are good and all that good stuff, but we haven't been making any signals. What I'm seeing now, before I do that, we were close, by the way. Right, we were actually kind of close to get the breakout, but nothing happened. This here, I think, is like a blow off top to the downside. We don't know how low it can go, right? We do not know. But again, I think if we are going to go all the way down to here, and if you want to buy, you know, deeply down the barrel, that is an opportunity. I don't advocate trying to buy, you know, a puke like that, but it can be considered. But I think we are at the end of, you know, like a blow off top to the downside before we eventually start to do something. But I think there will be half a year to a year before we see any formations that we like in Peninsula. SLX here, Silex System. Yellow uptrend. It's kind of nice little stock here, and you can see also the big breakout back in the day. Look at that. Right, you can just see we're hammering on that rail, or this trend zone, you can call it, and we finally broke there in January 2021, right after also a horizontal breakout, and then we started to backtest, grind higher. We were then in this upsloping parallel, and then we tagged it here. So what are we waiting for now? We're waiting for this one to clear. We need to get back above the red, which we are at this moment, right? But we need to break the blue. So I will say anything north of like 4.5, and then SLX could be worth a look and actually go long, because then we are holding the yellow here. You can see the yellow uptrend, and then if we break this one here, we should be back in the game for higher prices on SLX. And this one here is the tech side of uranium, together with LEU, LTBR, and these guys. So they have been doing really well. So there you have it. 4.5 is the breakpoint roughly. If you want to wait for the higher high and getting back above that flush, I think 5 again. If you want to wait a little bit longer, 5 should do as well. On SLX here, it has been doing really well, and just if you look at the long term, we have gone up ever since, right? With pullbacks, I know, but that's the name of the game in these commodity stocks. They will hurt you. They will bring a lot of pleasure, but they will also be very, very, they will hurt you from time to time. Paladin, again, lovely entry. 2020, late 2020, together with all the other stuff, right? 1.6, 1.7 was that big once in a lifetime. You know, it's not once in a lifetime, but these are the big ones. Massive rally, bull flagging here, and then we peaked out at 18, and then we corrected a lot, down to 4, way more than I would have thought it would do. Again, we started to be really interesting here, you know, the back test, but we just kept collapsing, and then of course the Trump tariff situation basically flushed everyone, right? But now we have a setup that I really do enjoy. We are about to break the May 2024 trend line here, potentially on the 4th here, and then if we can clear the blue, then we have breaking the neckline also. So anything north of 8.3 in Paladin Energy, that's one of those where you should really consider to buying into that, and you can have a stop below the shoulder if you want to. But that is where I think we're going to go back to the yellow and attack 15 bucks, because the yellow is really one very long channel here. You can see one touch there, and then we tagged it again there perfectly. So we could, when we break the blue, we could attack the yellow, and of course everything is all bets are off if we can break that further down the line. So yeah, 8.5, and I think Paladin is gonna go for higher highs and higher lows until we reach the yellow here at roughly 15. So that is the entire list. Again, hopefully these stocks here down under will start to pick up to its Canadian sisters and brothers, and American, of course. But I think they are going to do that. Why shouldn't they? We are seeing also the U.UN here is trying to climb and actually start to get back to the neckline. Then things start to get really, really interesting. So we are back above the bull flag, the 1 year, almost 2 year now, bull flag. So spot price should start to come up, and that again should lift or elevate these uranium stocks down under. So that is basically all. And again, this was the first time doing it live on YouTube. Normally we do it on the Substack for every week or every second week, depending. So again, check out the Substack, and again, let me know what you think, guys. And as always, have a great day.